Okay, so Sam Twiston-Davies, it's lovely to have you up here at the Racing Post offices, and again, I'd probably remember it better than you would, but we did ride against each other a little bit back in the day when I was a budding amateur.
Yeah, see so many lads coming in and out the weighing room, and you remember certain days, certain scenarios. It's like you always have a good laugh, don't you? Like the camaraderie in the weighing room is fantastic. So
that's it, and I miss it. But my days in the saddle are now very much over. But yours very much in full swing, and life as a freelancer is going well for you, isn't it?
Yeah, having a nice time. At the end of the day, I felt obviously we've obviously sat down with Paul and we talked it through and thought what might be best, and it's something that jumped itself at a chance to kind of go out and have a go. I'm very lucky and I'm still very well supported from obviously my dad, Dr. Newland, and Paul as well. We still have a good relationship with each other. Probably actually have almost a better one now, and that this year we can laugh, joke, and there's days where you'd love to be still number one there, but at the same time I've gone out, I've had a few good experiences and learnt a lot, and obviously we hope for my riding's improving and coming forward more again.
That's it, and I suppose keeping those relationships is key, and part of that, I guess, is riding out in the mornings. Do you do quite a lot of that, and if so, how important is that to you?
Yeah, do as much riding out as possible. I tend to spend my time a lot at Dad's, Dr. Newland's once a week, and then obviously still try and get down to Paul's once a week if we can, because at the end of the day he's got an excellent squad, a great team of horses, and the other trainer I try and get to a bit is Jamie Snowden. He's a very good trainer. He places his horses well, and once again he's only going to keep going forward and getting bigger and bigger.
And part of riding out with those trainers is kind of getting to know the horses that you might ride in the races, but sometimes you might arrive at the races having never laid eyes on a horse. How difficult is that? Can you get to know a horse between the parade ring and the start line?
So it's amazing how much information now you can get about a horse before you actually sit on it. Because the replay service now is fantastic. You can watch a horse in France, England, pretty much anywhere it may have raced before, so you can have a fair idea about that certain horse before you even get on it. But at the same time is that I always like to take the approach, always speak to maybe the stable jockey of the yard it's come from, or speak to the lad that's ridden it the most before, so you can have a fair idea about the horse. Sometimes though you can actually almost do too much homework and you end up overthinking or trying to ride it too much, and sometimes it is just best to go out there and let it be what will be.
Well, overthinking is probably something I was a little bit guilty of actually, and that I think resulted in me getting quite nervous before rides. Do you find now you get nervous before rides?
I think nerves are something if you're getting nervous, it's almost a good thing, because there's pressure there because you just want to do well, and that way then the more pressure you have, it's only because you've got a better ride. It might be a shorter price, it might be a big race of a chance, so you actually thrive. I find you thrive off that pressure and nerves, and it's a position if you weren't getting nervous, then you're maybe not riding something that's very good. So I always think it's something we can take going forward and really enjoy. At the end of the day, it's something that's part of racing. You deal with it better than some might, and I might not deal with it as well as others, but at the same time it's something that you can try and channel in a positive way rather than negative.
Yeah, well, you mentioned there that nerves can be a bit more if you're on a fancied horse or on a big occasion. No bigger occasion, of course, than Cheltenham Festival coming up and the Grand National shortly after that. Is the atmosphere in the weighing room a different one at those big meetings?
Yeah, Cheltenham and Aintree are kind of funny scenarios, because when you go into a Cheltenham Festival race, you always feel you have a chance. So at the end of the day, if you go out for favourites chance and you come back in, you see lads with the head down, bowed, thinking like, what could have done differently, what might have been, and then you can go to the other extreme of the elation of the lads that have won. So obviously everyone really wants a Cheltenham winner, an Aintree winner. They're the ones that everyone seems to work seriously hard all year round trying to find the horses for those meetings, and it doesn't always work out. At the same time, you stick your head down, go to work as usual on the Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and try and find one for the years to come. If not, try and win as many big races as possible on the weekends.
That's it. And when it hasn't gone well, obviously nowadays social media can turn against you a little bit. Is that having an increased influence? Does it affect you? Does it affect some of your colleagues in a negative way? If you've given a horse maybe not even a bad ride, but a ride that other people have perceived as being bad, and you get some negative publicity on social media, is it really hard to ignore that?
I learned quite quick about this as I made two incidents in quite close proximity. One with obviously Politolog at Cheltenham, I fell off him, and then fell off Hawkhurst a week later, so got a good amount of flack quite quick, and it was soon learned that you got to take and learn from every ride, and obviously there's so much about social media nowadays. You have to do it, you have to see it, and that's thing you're so accessible for people to get their opinion across, which they're very valid to give. But at the same time, is you've got to believe in yourself. Everyone makes mistakes. You've got to learn from it, move forward, and just try and not make those mistakes again. I think is the biggest one.
Yeah, learning from it and going forward, isn't it? But on a completely unrelated note, weight is obviously a hot topic when anyone talks about being a jockey. Do you struggle massively with your weight, and how do you keep it in check?
Yeah, I'm relatively lucky. Obviously, I'm probably only 5'9", 5'10" kind of thing. So luckily, I'm not particularly tall, and I'm quite slight. So I don't have to battle too much with the weight. I'd probably be sitting, as we speak now, for around 10-1. So if my agent Chris Broad texts now and said, could you do 10 stone tomorrow, it would be obviously just a relatively light feed until tomorrow, but at the same time is that you can do it with maybe a quick little sweat, and you're then not feeling too run down, too weak. So I'm pretty lucky, but I've seen the other side of the coin with obviously brother Willie being on the flat, and he's a good bit taller than me, and he was forever battling the scales. So I've seen both sides of it and how tough it can be. I'm just guess I'm one of the lucky ones that I have something that works for me, as in my meal plan, and luckily it works.
And someone like Willie, who is having to really waste to get down to the sort of weights he would have needed to ride out on the flat, the temptation is just to kind of starve yourself, or just eat just enough to keep yourself alive. But I think these days jockeys are recognised as actual athletes, aren't they? And there's a lot more input, from what I can tell, into the kind of diet side of things. Do you get a lot of instruction on that now?
Yeah, it's amazing the information you have accessible to you now. And for example, when I was out injured my elbow, was my last significant injury, they sat me down with a nutritionist and said, right, what food do you like, what don't you like? And then came up with a massive nutritional plan of kind of how to manage yourself and your body during recovery, and then obviously afterwards for when you were back racing. And it was little things that surprised me, like they'd like you to try and eat 6 meals a day, from a snack, then breakfast, and snack, then lunch, then snack, then tea, dinner. I didn't really realise that you could eat so much and kind of still be a good weight. So that's what amazed me. But I will admit, I have gone back to my old ways of just the snacking away and then one big meal a day.
And talking of those snacks, I mean, I always remember that the jelly babies were readily available in the weighing room. Is that still the case?
Oh, it's always after a sugar rush. Like anybody that knows me well knows I'm an absolute monster for the sweets. So it's something I do. I just like sweet things, enjoy it. So if you're ever in a car with me, you'll find sweets in the cabinet, or maybe a bit of chocolate here and there. But it's the quick energy fix you're always looking for, and that's something that helps when you're doing what we do. Is you want quick bursts of energy, and at the end of the day, we're lucky that you're doing something you love. So if you have to miss a meal here or there, it's only because you're doing something you'd happily do it for.
And I say, in my limited experience of being a jockey, whenever I met someone new, there was 2 questions I was always asked. One is, have you ever ridden in the Grand National? And 2, have you got a tip? Well, we know you've ridden in the Grand National a few times. Have you got any tips?
Yeah. It's something obviously we get asked, like you say, a lot. But one thing is, if we all knew what was going to win, then friends and family would be seriously rich.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for joining us, and best of luck.
No, thank you very much.